Hello, it is April 16th, 2012, 8:48 on a clear, warm night here in the Hollywood Hills, California. You are listening to now the third installment of Truth Conquers All at TruthConquersAll.com on Agenda 21. It was planned to be the second installment, but I woke up yesterday morning and felt inspired to share with you what I know in order to honor the last day of the tax season celebration. Expose that whole indecent, fraudulent, illegal, unconstitutional racket. So anyways, as I was saying, this is the third installment of Truth Conquers All, where we have weekly topics ranging from a diverse spectrum of interests and issues, but all sharing a common goal of getting down to the truth of these matters as quickly and concisely as possible, and more often than not, at least for me, learning and growing along the way, for that which does not grow dies. Now, this episode took an unusually exceptional amount of time because it is in many ways the crux, the core, the umbrella that shelters and stems mystifying perplexities such as toxic aluminum-laden chemtrails, the sickening and murderous science of population control eugenics, the agenda behind global warming and its campaign, sterilizing cancer-causing genetically modified organisms better known as GMOs, and their small family-owned organic farm-busting behemoth of a flagship company, Monsanto. At the very root of these very serious and life-threatening dilemmas is today's topic. And I'm sorry for us that I've learned this information. I'm sorry that it's not bullshit. I'm sorry that I'm not crazy, or at least not enough for this to be wrong. And I'm sorry that this is happening right now. And it's all being implemented at once to ensure maximum impact and damage. I mean, within 1 year, their vast grasp may be so clenching on the internet, the media, you, our society, our atmosphere, our earth, our monetary system, our freedoms, that it may be too late to do anything to stop it, even though by then we will most likely be feeling the effects harshly and truly be ready to do something about them. The bigger problem and chaos they create, the more we'll need their solution and order. Everything from engineering the fall of our dollar to the engineering of our weather, food, water, and now even the air we breathe. For at least the next couple of episodes, I will be discussing these different topics, but I'll start with the document that houses their mission statement, if you will, and the plan to implement it. Agenda 21 at its base has a fundamental objective that is quite polarizing. For me, it immediately spawned an internal debate where both sides are justifiable on their own, but when compared to one another are in complete contradiction, so they cannot simultaneously coexist. You simply must choose one or the other. I chose the humanitarian side in the end, as I knew I would and did all along, but couldn't help but get annoyed, to say the least, at how easily I was entranced and lured by the opposing side. And that's just it. It's the complexity of the problem of population control and their plan to just reduce it that makes that simple solution so appealing. Just kill them. I mean, it's not like they're smart enough to be happy or treat each other well anyways. It's not like most care enough to consider these issues. It's not like a bunch won't be voting for Obama again or his successor Romney. But it's also not like I completely blame the people. The people in control can be attributed most of the blame here. I mean, literally, when I was thinking of a way to refute their position on this, just because I knew it was wrong, I just sort of got lost and literally spellbound by the simplicity of the solution that they have, in contrast to my solution, which is to leave everyone alone and let us fix the problem without, for once, their manipulation of society, our monetary system, our politics, and the assassination or repression of our most influential and helpful saviors and or leaders in the past. But that solution can only be brought about in one way, and that is to defeat this very powerful secret organization and its agenda that already has a good amount of corrupt support and downhill momentum. It is an ominous task of finding out how you really feel about and what is your true stance on such an important, frightening, downright depressing, life-threatening reality. But what other choice is there? While you're here and alive, you can either stand up and fight or you can crawl under your covers and go to bed, which I sometimes occasionally still do, in fact quite often, but I justify it by affirming that it helps clear my mind, rearrange my wires to what I've learned, and energize me for a fresh new start once again. Through these ordeals, I find myself needing to remind myself that I must keep this impersonal and express what is best and in concurrence and ordinance of the objectively removed truth and reality that is the best of our scientific knowledge. Do not think of this as fighting against something, but rather for something. It keeps you focused and confident and secure because you know what it is at all times you are fighting for. I have many, but off the top of my head, I am fighting for the minority, which in all cases is the individual. It is me. It is you. It is someone you love. It is your dog and cat. This idea of the individual and of a objective reality, a right and a wrong, more reasonable and less reasonable, is something that their agenda in schooling tries and will try harder, if given the opportunity, to desperately refute, because it's hard to control and manipulate those who think for themselves and to have a deep understanding of their opinion and where it came from. It breeds self-sufficient self-esteem and confidence that is not easy to confuse and sway, and that is a problem for them. I believe the inner turmoil I experience over this topic is not just felt by me alone. I believe it's this way for many people on many topics, whether it be defending something so basic as the relevancy of the Constitution, or convincing of the obvious chemtrails in the sky, or explaining the truth and history of the Federal Reserve to someone who just denies it because they don't want to hear it, to something so in your face and almost silly, like the whole one-eye Illuminati fiasco getting thrown around at us by pop culture entertainers. Anything you automatically say, no fucking way, are you kidding me? Anything that you know in your gut immediately is appalling. I mean, a disgust, a revulsion towards shit like this that you were just born with. These reactions, these opinions, if you can even call them that, more like convictions, are innate. And the opposition is so strong and massive, and in direct contrast to your immediate, closely and personally embraced doctrine, that you feel like you're irrelevant, and your opinion is screwed, and you must be mad. You must either be mad or the only smart person on the planet that really wants to live his dreams and be truly joyful throughout his journeys of his life. But just remember, you're not alone, and that you are right. They are doing this. This is happening, and they are wrong. There's a bad force out there simply because of the fact they want to fool you, control you, enslave you, and kill you. You're not on their team. You're cattle on the great U.S. farm they own. You are cattle that will fight for them and patriotically die for them and help them get all the farms and all the cattle and then slaughter them. And there is only one person, one little black sheep, who you can make do something about it. That's right. You are the great defender that you've been waiting for. Your soul is fearless. Let that do the talking in both your inner and outer dialogue. This is part of your journey. It is happening, unfortunately. And whether you like it or not, fighting for your freedom is going to be a constant for the rest of your life. And that's fine. That's the way it should be. Keeps your head clear and in reality, and reminds you of what is truly important and relevant to a successful, truly fulfilled, accomplished, and joyful life. It's like tending to a garden or brushing your teeth. You can't neglect these things, or they will become overrun with weeds and pests and rot out of your head. The only reason we haven't been concerned and have taken freedom for granted for so long is that they blew up yet another artificial bubble for us to live in that couldn't and was never supposed to be sustained. Now it's bursting, and they're coming in for the kill, taking freedoms ever so slightly, hiding behind the trust that they've gained by fooling us for so long into thinking we were free because we were merely comfortable. But I tell you, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, once you get into it, everything starts to make sense. The commotion in your skull you had no choice but to feel and experience in the past starts to dissipate. And slowly, as you start to connect the pieces to the puzzle that these jerks really shook the box to beforehand. I mean, they even hid pieces in some of the nooks where the box was folded to make the corners. Once you start to investigate and expose the corruption and the truth, the big picture starts to appear. And it is beautiful, and it is simple, and it is infinite. And on that note, before I go on and finish with the facts of Agenda 21, I would like to just remind us how our universe at the moment, to our best of our scientific knowledge, appears to be, and how taking away another person's freedom and accelerating their death is a very bad thing for you, for everyone else, and is in direct opposition to the fundamental principles we see and experience in our soul when looking and learning about our universe, the natural harmony it operates through, and our interlaced imperative place in it. This is the superstructure of the universe. A light year is 5,865,696,000,000 miles, or less than half of our national debt, thanks to the Federal Reserve. 1 gigaparsec, or GPC, is 1 billion parsecs. A parsec is 3.26 light years. 1 MPC is 1 million parsecs, or 3,262,000 light years. The H equals the expanding universe, or from how I like to look at it, expanding consciousness. From what I gather, it's about 60 miles a second. In witnessing everything we currently know about reality, from the macroscopic to the microscopic like this, I find it hard to justify and stand beside, in my opinion, the overly materialistic and remotely removed, isolated philosophy of it's every man for himself. But at the same time, I understand it is not our duty to help anyone else. That is how free we are, and it is not their right to force their help on us. I do not forget for a second that we must be independent and free to do as we wish, as long as it's not physically restraining or harming any other free, independent soul looking to express itself to the universe that it and all of us are a part of and one with. We are born free, and after that, everywhere in chains. Chains brought on by other misled, egocentric, confused, aggravated, bitter, and perverted little individuals. And if indeed we are all one, there is a good reason even the most aware, educated, and perhaps enlightened souls get a little agitated by these perverted little individuals who think they can and should control their fellow men. It bothers even the most peaceful and calm men that these bullies are in many cases winning. It bothers them just enough to want to go do something about it. Try and help yourself by helping a sickness in an organism you are just as much a part of as one of your cells is with your body. But by all means, have fun. Go about your business and never stop expressing and exploring and pumping life and blood, sweat and tears into your own soul and your own spirit and your own vital force that at the same time flows through all of us. And if you can, do this calmly. As I've said before, the soul is fearless. Let your soul do the talking in both your inner and outer dialogues. It's important to be happy and joyful and clear and thoughtful and really experience this. Enjoy and take advantage of your freedom while you still have it, while we can still do something to help ensure our children and future generations still have it, to help quell the injustices going on right now, not all over the world, right here, right at our front doors. It's astonishing how quickly things are moving, and I got into the laws and preparations being enacted left and right last episode, and since then, 2 more have popped up. It's every damn week now. I mean, something new and devastating. There is a race against time now to break our will, humiliate our spirit, and take our freedoms before they really start applying pressure for their agenda. People are waking up fast, but the powers that be are prepared. Bills like H.R. 658 in 2011, the NDAA went into effect March 1st, and since then, the NDRP, H.R. 37, the $3 billion NSA Homeland Surveillance Facility in Utah, the recent Supreme Court ruling that states anyone can be strip searched for any offense, however minor, at any time. There's more. It's hard to keep up. There's a small window here to accelerate public awareness and outcry. Do or die time, now or never. This is our time these next few coming months. While it still seems as if we have freedom of speech, while it still seems as if we can't get indefinitely detained and tortured without trial at any moment, while it still seems that we can't get strip searched for an unpaid parking ticket or any other infraction, no matter how minor, implying that everyone should be strip searched. The government wants to strip you of your dignity and weaken your sense of pride and will, and they are doing this through the TSA and through acts and executive orders and Supreme Court rulings and the enactment of global agendas and the implementation of their sneaky and weaselly underlying objectives. Such as, and finally, last but not least, our main topic for tonight, without further ado, ladies and germs, Agenda 21. The number 21 refers to an agenda for the 21st century. In essence, Agenda 21 is a 40-chapter, 294-page document that serves as a comprehensive blueprint of action to be taken globally, nationally, and locally by organizations of the UN, governments, and major groups in every area in which humans directly affect the environment. And in my opinion, and which I hope to prove here, is that the philosophy of sustainable development designed through this document was created to bring human beings across the globe under full control of a narrow human elite, controlling the world based entirely on socialist control mechanisms through an environmental guise. Same old story, like War for Peace, the humanitarian cover. The full text of Agenda 21 was revealed at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, also known as Earth Summit, held in Rio de Janeiro on June 13, 1992, where 178 governments voted to adopt the program. President George H.W. Bush was the signatory for the United States. Now, Congress never authorized the implementation of Agenda 21, basically because of a loophole that states if it is not a treaty and just a soft law policy recommendation, it needs no authorization. And then, in order to complete the trick, in 1993, President Bill Clinton established by executive order the President's Council on Sustainable Development for the purpose of implementing Agenda 21 in the United States. Now, I dare state that Agenda 21 is a global movement fueled by debunked global warming science to create a world government by ending national sovereignty, abolishing private property, restructuring the family unit, and restricting mobility and individual prosperity, rendering us a life without independence, privacy, property, or substance of right. Complete government control run by a new world order of elite bankers. I dare say this because it sounds funny. But what if it were true? What if everything that has happened in the recent past, everything that is happening now, everything that is being projected to happen in the future is in near perfect alignment with everything in my statement? What if everything I've found confirms and points to this? Is it funny then? Now, a section of Agenda 21 mentions the Wildlands Project, which are steps to be taken that call for the implementation of what looks to make 99% of the world off limits to humans. There are planned smart growth zones, sustainable living environments, where humans will be stacked and packed in small living units along rail tracks, with jobs assigned by the state, and the children cared for and educated by a socialist curriculum also by the state. A curriculum that supposedly will teach children that they cannot construct their own understandings of reality, but at the same time manipulate the teaching to bring them to a conclusion that objective reality is not knowable. There is no truth, no better, no worse. Only your unique interpretation, anything goes. And any form of thought can be accepted if given the right sales pitch. No ideology, or rather the ideology of no ideology, no beliefs, no underlying principles, nice and easy to manipulate and control. This group. It's astonishing the power these people think they have because they smoozed and kissed ass enough to get into high government and political positions, or because they were born into a family of wealth. Wealth made by stealing tax-paying citizens' money and swindling stock markets. It's sick. They think they're so great and their position so accomplished that they're so worthy to enforce population control, that they can apply the science of eugenics onto people. And I'm not talking about the people in some third world country where the children are born pretty much screwed. No, I'm talking about right here, where they are ruining our nation, our health, our culture, our monetary system so badly that our children are also close to being born and pretty much screwed. This is why your freedom is not something you can just have and leave up to your government to take care of for you. Government is run by people. And more often than not these days, these people are power-hungry egomaniacs without practically a shred of shame for their selfish, greed-driven decisions and actions. Anyone who feels they can step in and enforce eugenics on another person are really the ones who should be first in line to be a eugenics patient. Now, this is going to sound a bit unbelievable, and I admit it was the hardest thing to digest when I first heard it, but I've become at least 99% sure that the ultimate goal of these people, who are really at the top of this Agenda 21 hierarchical pyramid, is in fact the same group of trillionaire shysting banksters who are so often, so lovingly referred to as the Illuminati. And what they want to do is depopulate the world to 500 million, about 90% from what it is today. And perhaps I shouldn't use the title Illuminati or their NWO plan for a new world order so often, but I would like people to be comfortable about them and want to discover what they are really about. They are the little man behind the curtain at the end of the yellow brick road. And in the end, one of the greatest accomplishments they feel they can achieve is this massive depopulation. There is actually a good deal of proof that attests to this, and I will go into this proof from time to time in probably most, if not every episode of Truth Conquers All. But one slab of proof I will now quickly introduce to you, or should I say a few slabs of granite proof. The Georgia Guidestones is a large granite monument in Elbert County, Georgia. A message comprising of 10 guides is inscribed on the structure in 8 modern languages, and a shorter message is inscribed at the top of the structure in 4 ancient languages: Babylonian, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. The structure is sometimes referred to as an American Stonehenge. The monument is 19 feet 3 inches tall, made from 6 granite slabs weighing more than 240,000 pounds in all. One slab stands in the center, with 4 arranged around it. A capstone lies on the top of all 5 slabs, which are astronomically aligned. It was constructed in 1979. An unknown person or persons under the pseudonym R.C. Christian hired the Albert Granite Finishing Company to build the structure. The new 10 Commandments, that it states, are followed. 1. Maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. 2. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. 3. Unite humanity with a living new language. 4. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. 5. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. 6. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. 7. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. 8. Balance personal rights with social duties. 9. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And 10. Be not a cancer to the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. Now, of course, number 1 is disgusting, and although it sounds great, there's this ever so small, minute problem that to live in this world with only 500 million peace-loving and free people, you have to kill about 6.5 billion people. So you'd have that in your peaceful and loving history. Forever a society of hypocrites. So I don't think it would last too long. That's a problem, and that you would also be apparently forced to feel this way and act this way. Not that I don't agree with living like this for the most part, but you simply cannot make someone live like this. In order for that to happen, this society cannot be free, and someone will be in charge of it all, and they will impose their will onto other human beings who were born free and then immediately had it taken away from them once their first breath of air was won in a society such as this. It just doesn't go with the big picture in the universe. It's just not right. Agree with me or not, the fact is I wouldn't be able to say this in that society. Imagine that kind of control, that kind of restraint. We should be able to talk about population control and educate on how to be better parents and more responsible. I know it's harder than just sterilizing and killing everyone through the consumption of genetically modified foods, through the control of the corrupt World Health and Food and Agriculture Organizations, through the Codex Alimentarius Commission, through the chemtrails, eugenics, and many, many other ways I will get into soon during these future episodes. I know it's harder to educate and be good role models, but it is the only way. The solution will not work. It cannot work. And I firmly believe that by exposing their plans and their control and their corrupt politics all over the globe, we can and will defeat and bring a natural harmony and order and peace back to mankind and the world we are all part of. And you better believe we can do this without the assistance of this self-entitled, high and mighty group. That is the new awakening. That will be the illumination. It won't be from this self-righteous, self-proclaimed Illuminati. They are frauds, and they don't get it, and they will not succeed. Till next time, Vincit omnia veritas. Good night.